Hello, welcome to the video notes for lesson 11-2. This is about angles, lines, and transversals. And this begins on page 8 in your notes packet from your binder. So there are 3 learning targets for this lesson. First one, there's 4 targets. Name the corresponding angles of lines intersected by a transversal. I'll highlight that for the first time. I can name the alternate interior angles of lines intersected by a transversal. I can name the alternate exterior angles of lines intersected by a transversal. And I can find angles formed by 2 parallel lines intersected by a transversal. Alright, so what is this mystery word transversal? What does it mean? A transversal is a line that intersects 2 or more lines at different points. In the diagram, line T, so notice they labeled it T, is the transversal. So you've got lines A and B, and then the transversal is the line that cuts across both of them. Alright? This unit is really big with vocabulary, so we'll be talking about the vocabulary a lot in class. Alright, so the first type of angles we're going to learn about are corresponding angles. Corresponding angles lie on the same side of the transversal and in corresponding positions. Now, that definition is pretty rough because it uses the word corresponding in the definition. I like to think of it this way. If I were to pick up this group of angles and drop it right down on top of this group of angles, which angles would be on top of each other? And it's pretty easy to see angle 1 would be on top of angle 5. Angle 2 would be on top of angle 6. Angle 3 would be on top of angle 7. And angle 4 is going to be on top of angle 8. These are our corresponding angles. Alright, so let's take a look at another example. Identify the transversal, list the corresponding angles. Now right away some of you are probably thinking, this might be the transversal because it's looking like it's a diagonal line like this one up here. But be careful. Remember, the transversal is the line that cuts across 2 lines. So that makes this line here the transversal. And the reason is because it intersects 2 lines. Intersects 2 lines. Alright, so now list the corresponding angles. Again, think of cutting this. If we were to cut this transversal here, pick up this group of angles and drop it on top of this group of angles, what angles are going to be on top of each other? So angle 1 is going to be on top of angle 3. Angle 2 is going to be on top of angle 4. Angle 8 is going to be on top of angle 6. And angle 7 is going to be on top of angle 5. Very important to keep in mind what we're doing here. And some people just go with the numbers and say, 1 goes with 5 all the time, and 2 goes with 6 all the time. And no, it doesn't work like that. Okay, over on the next page, page 9. Alright, we're going to learn about some different kinds of angles. So, we've got alternate interior angles, and when you hear the word interior, hopefully you're thinking of the word inside. So, alternate interior angles lie within a pair of lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. So the alternate goes with the word opposite. So if we look here, we've got angle 4 and angle 6 are on the inside of the two lines, angle 4 and angle 6, and they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So there's one other pair, that's angle 3 and angle 5. They're on opposite sides of the transversal. So, the next type of angle we're going to learn about is alternate exterior. Exterior means outside. So this time they're outside of the two lines. And again, we've got two pairs of them. So angle 1 goes with angle 7, and angle 2 goes with angle 8. Those are the examples of the alternate exterior angles. Okay, so now let's try to figure this out. So the example, identify the transversal. So here is our transversal, right here, this line. So transversal. If it had, now, I'm actually going to have you finish these. We're going to list the alternate interior angles. So I'll give you one pair. One pair is going to be angles 3 and angle 6. You need to come up with the other pair. And the alternate exterior, angle 2 and angle 7 go together. There's another pair. So I want you to find the other pair on your own. So you got to find the other pair of alternate interior and the other pair of alternate exterior. All right, almost done. Over on the next page. So we've been talking about two lines that are intersected by a transversal. Now, the most typical situation that we have that we end up seeing a very significant relationship is when the two lines that are intersected are parallel lines. So when you look down here, we've got these two parallel lines. Corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, and alternate exterior, that should say exterior, are all congruent. So, if we were to measure these, I'm going to say angle 1 here is 100 degrees. And this angle here is also 100 degrees. This angle here is 100 degrees, and this angle is 100 degrees. Then if I were to measure these other angles, I would find this to be 80. Now this might not actually be true, so if you have a protractor and you measure yours and it doesn't work out exactly the same, don't worry, it's just an example. Alright, so let's talk about our corresponding angles. So 1, if I were to cut these out and set it on top, angle 1 goes with angle 5. And what can we say about 1 and 5? They are congruent. Angle 2 is corresponding to angle 6, and they are also congruent. And it's because we have the parallel lines cut by a transversal. Angle 3 is congruent to angle 7, and angle 4 is congruent to angle 8. Now let's talk about alternate interior, so the insides. Angle 4, well actually let's go angle 3, is an alternate interior angle to angle 6, and they are congruent. And angle 4 is alternate interior to angle 5, and they are congruent. And then lastly, alternate exterior. We've got 1 going with 8, so angle 1 is congruent to angle 8. I know my writing's a little sloppy. And then angle 2 is congruent to angle 7. All right. We have one more task at the bottom. So we've got all these angles, and they tell us that the measure of angle 2 is 97 degrees, and that the measure of angle 6 is 83 degrees. And they're saying we can find all these other angles here. Well, let me talk about a couple things. So I know that angle 3, so lines T and S are parallel to each other. M is a transversal, N is also transversal. So because these are parallel lines, and because of some other things I know, like vertical angles and things like that, I could say angle 3 is also 97 degrees. And angle 10 is also 97 degrees. And angle 11 is 97 degrees. Now if I want to find these missing angles, 1, 4, 9, and 12, I would do 180 minus 97, and guess what I get? 83. So my other angles are 83 degrees, which is an interesting coincidence, because if I look over at the other group, I have, starting out with angle 6 is 83, so angle 7 is 83, and angle 14 is 83, and 15 is 83. And I think you're getting the idea here. So now I'm going to do 180 minus 83, and I should already know, as should you, that that's going to equal 97. So figure out the rest of the angles, and then answer the questions on your own. Should be easy. The answer is either 97 degrees or 83 degrees. All right, that's it for this lesson. If you have any questions, go back and rewatch the video or come and see me for help. Good luck, and we'll see you in math.